capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Now I invite you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much, and welcome again to our first in-person board meeting in almost 2 years. So you are filling seats that haven't been filled for a while. At this time, I'd like to report out of closed session and ask Mr. O'Connor Ratcliffe to report out.
Thank you, Mr. Zane. Closed session began at 5:53 p.m. and the Board of Education took the following action in closed session. Item 2.1-A, in the matter of conference with legal counsel pending existing litigation, case number ADR 0119-2022. On a motion by Couvret and a second by Seitzma, the board voted to approve the settlement agreement 5-0. In the matter on item 2.1-B, in the matter of conference with legal counsel pending existing litigation, case number ADR 0301-2022. On a motion by Patel and a second by Seitzma, the board voted to approve the settlement agreement. It was unanimous except, okay, I gotta call everyone. Ayes, Zane, Patel, O'Connor Ratcliffe, Seitzma, abstentions, Couvret. The vote was 4-0. 2.1-C. In the matter of conference with legal counsel pending existing litigation, case number ADR 0307-2022. On a motion by Couvret and a second by Patel, the board voted to approve the settlement agreement. The vote of the board was as follows: ayes 5, noes 0. Item 2.1-D, in the matter of conference with legal counsel pending existing litigation, case number OAH 2021070814. On a motion by Seitzma and I second by Zane, the board voted to approve the settlement agreement. The vote of the board was unanimous, 5-0. 2.3-A, in the matter of pupil personnel. I cannot speak tonight. Okay. 2.3-A, in the matter of pupil personnel, student expulsions, disciplinary matters, and other confidential student matters, case number 2021-2022.06. No reportable action from closed session. The board will take action in open session. Agenda items 8.1. Item 2.3-B. Oh, I'm almost done. In the matter of pupil personnel, student expulsions, disciplinary matters, and other confidential student matters, case number 2021-2022.02. No reportable action from closed session. The board will take action in open session. Agenda items 8.2. No other reportable action was taken during closed session. We adjourned that thing at 5:55.
Thank you, Ms. Ratcliffe O'Connor. Clearly, everybody losing their personal space up here is kind of causing us to lose our minds. I'll make note that all members are in attendance, including student board member Xu. I'm glad you were able to make it. She hit some traffic. And at this time, I invite Ms. Xu to provide the welcome to the public.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see your faces. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Board of Education. If you would like to address the board on any agenda item, please complete a speaker's slip. All requests to speak must be submitted to the clerk of the board before the agenda item comes up. If you're requesting an agenda item be pulled for public discussion from Section 5.0 consent calendar, a speaker slip must be submitted to the clerk now, as approval of the consent calendar is one of the first items up for approval. Item 4.2 is placed on our agenda to enable members of our community to bring items that are not placed anywhere else on the agenda to the board's attention. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 15 minutes per topic unless waived by the board president. There will be a 30-second yellow warning light when time is running out, and speakers may speak on only one topic under item 4.2 and may not defer their speaking time to another individual. If there are concerns regarding specific individuals, it is preferred that the speaker refrain from naming them publicly to respect their privacy. The board will accept and review any written materials that would provide more specific information. The Brown Act does not permit board action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda, but your concerns will be referred to staff. With that said, welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hsu. That brings us to item 3.5, an action item, approval of agenda sequence. Dr. Phelps.
Staff would like to pull 5.7A and move that to the agenda next month. Staff would like to also pull 11.1 and move it to 4.5 in the agenda.
What was the second one?
Remove.
11.1 to move it to
Are there any other items? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Dr. Patel, is a motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Couvret. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, including Ms. Hsu. Votes unanimous. Thank you. Brings us to item 4.1, an information item, our student board representative reports. This is great to see everybody in public again, like I said, and we will begin with Willow Grove Elementary with Evan Borowski and Adia Shipikar. Did I pronounce that correctly? All right. Welcome. Have a seat up front here, and we're not too intimidating. Well, not all of us.
They've got it.
Hi, I'm Evan Borowski. Good evening. My name is Adia Shipikar. We are student council ambassadors from Willow Grove Elementary, and we are honored to be here tonight representing our school. This year, our focus as student council ambassadors was on building a sense of school community and reconnecting with each other in purpose and on campus. Something you should know about Willow Grove is that we are a kind and caring school. To show that we are a caring school, Willow Grove held a sock drive and collected socks for people experiencing homelessness. We collected hundreds of socks. The socks were then donated to the Alpha Project. We also focused on Kindness Week. The Student Council ambassadors created posters for each grade level and asked students to take different kindness challenges each day. Students in every class signed their names to two posters pledging that they would do the challenges. It was a great week, and the posters are still hanging in our NPR.
In addition to those activities, as student council ambassadors, we are leaders at our school and make school-wide announcements every Monday morning. We usually share a quote or something positive about the monthly character trait, and then we talk about upcoming events that are important to the school. Willow Grove also holds school-wide Friday flags about once a month, and as student council ambassadors, we are always up on stage helping to lead this event. We introduce other speakers and lead the school in the Willow Grove Song and Character Pledge. The Student Council also selects monthly spirit days to encourage school spirit and community. We try to think about including everyone. For example, instead of the traditional twin day, we chose a multiples matching day so more people could get involved. Then we took it a step further and said that students who weren't planning to match with their friends could dress in black, white, or red. This way, everyone could participate in the Spirit Day, and no one had to feel left out. So you see, Willow Grove is a really kind and caring school. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share about our school.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for providing that report. Do any board members have questions of the students while they're... You're remaining for questions, right? You have lots of... No? All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a great evening. We appreciate you being here.
Good job.
Good job. I'd like to invite Isla Stefanik from Westwood Elementary School to come forward. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Phelps and PUSD board members. My name is Isla Stefanik, and I am president of Westwood Elementary School Student Council, and I'm pleased to be representing tonight. At Westwood, we do many fun activities weekly to make all students feel excited to come to school every day. To start, every Tuesday and Thursday, parent volunteers set up something called Running Club on the school's track. They lay out blue tracking mats, and the students put what we call running chips around their ankles. When the students run or walk across the mats, that indicates the start of a lap around the track. Then, after a student does a lap, they run or walk over the other blue tracking mat. That indicates the end of a lap. Students can do as many laps as they can or want in their 15 minutes of recess. As the laps add up for a student, they can earn ribbons. The ribbons are for when a student does a certain number of miles, so the ribbons say 5 miles, 10 miles, and so on. This year, Student Council is designing a new 100-mile ribbon with the ideas that some of the students came up with. Next, every other week on Fridays, we have Friday Flag. This is an alternative to listening to the announcements in the morning. But our principal doesn't just share the morning's announcement. She calls up random students to play games, get rewards for kindness, and sing the closing song. Then, on the Fridays that we don't have Friday Flag, we have Exploration. This is when teachers come in and give lessons on art, acting, building, and other fun things. Then, the teacher takes the students outside on the field to play fun PE games. Exploration is an hour and 45 minutes for every 2 grade levels. Also, every few weeks, parent volunteers come into the classroom and give a lesson on art. There are many different types of art, such as the line lesson, pastels, watercolor, and acrylic paints. Then, each student makes their masterpiece and puts it in their art folder. When the year is over, each student takes home their art folder to look at their pictures. This is called Art Attack. Additionally, Westwood is one of the few schools that has their own TV channel. We call it Roadrunner TV, and it is run completely by the students. They film, interview, and do so much more. After the episode is complete, it is shared with the teachers for the school to watch. Other than the fun things every week, Westwood has spirit days, fundraisers, and other school-wide activities. Some of the things that we've already done include wear green or camouflage to honor people in the military, the Great Kindness Challenge, Disney Day, the Canned Food and Sock Drive, the Kids Art Challenge, and wear your favorite band or sport t-shirt. In addition, 2 of Westwood's upcoming events are Twin Day and, excitingly, Westwood's 50th anniversary. We hope that you will join us in celebrating. Lastly, Westwood's clubs are Gardening Club, Safety Patrol, Recycling Club, the No Place for Hate Committee, and Student Council. These are all reasons why Westwood Elementary School is a great place for everyone. Thank you for listening to my speech.
Well, thank you very much. Very good job. I'd like to invite Amy Zhao from Westview High School to come forward. Welcome.
Good evening, PUSD Board. My name is Amy Zhao, and I'm currently Westview ASB's Vice President, and I'm stepping in for ASB President Brad Brady tonight, as he cannot be here with us. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to represent Westview and meet all of you here today. At Westview, we are 1 week into quarter 4, the last stretch of the school year, and with that comes many exciting school events, along with the inevitable stress of AP testing and finals. And on that note, since Cody's last report in January, at the start of quarter 3, ASB has been focusing on integrating our new members of the class and reorganizing our class functioning for this new semester. A major change to our class structure would be creating larger committees of 3 to 5 students rather than only smaller committees of 2. With that being said, I'm pleased to report that our class dynamic has never been more smooth, driven, and empowered, which is reflective upon the numerous activities and events that ASB has planned and supported this past quarter. Another weekly happening within our ASB class has been the process of club applications and the approval and/or denial of these aspiring clubs. With our club application process, we see around 3 clubs each week for 2 months consecutively. In this time, we have approved innovative and unique clubs that will hopefully gain traction on our campus with our support, including clubs like Crypto Club, Multimedia Club, American Sign Language Club, and Car Club. One way ASB supports our clubs is by hosting Club Rush during the fall and spring semester, which supports the success of Westview clubs. The turnout this year for the spring semester Club Rush was nothing short of a success. We had over 60 clubs participate in Club Rush, and the plaza was filled with excited students. Rewinding all the way back to February, ASB hosted our annual Chinese New Year celebration in honor of the Year of the Tiger. With performances and activities in the amphitheater during lunch, students crowded around and cheered on our Asian cultural clubs. In February, our Culture Committee also worked hard to honor Black History Month by focusing on the influence of Black culture on music, art, and fashion. Each week, a specific topic was focused on, in which events and activities that highlighted the influence of Black culture took place during lunch. Moving on to March, we kicked it off with our traditional Unity Day for our class of 2024 sophomores. Over the span of 2 days, over 400 sophomores gathered on the stadium field to participate in unity-building activities that encourage personal growth and relationship building within our class of 2024. We were honored to be able to host guest speaker Keith Hawkins to guide our sophomores on this impactful day, in which his powerful and eye-opening rhetoric never fails to leave a strong impact on his audience. Unity Day was part of the overarching No Place for Hate Week taking place on our campus, in which student-led activities in homeroom opened conversation about our own adversities and how we can all unify ourselves as Wolverines. As always, it is safe to say that No Place for Hate Week plays an important role in establishing the inclusive and welcoming learning environment that exists on our campus. In addition, in honors of Women's History Month, ASB collected packaged feminine products to donate to Rachel's Women's Shelter. Not only was this collection drive a complete success, we also recognized our female athletes and teachers on campus. During lunch, we hosted girls' sports fairs to recognize our accomplished female sports teams, and we also hosted a panel at lunch with distinguished female keynote speakers from our Poway Unified District Board and also teachers. The response from our students was nothing short of appreciation and support, in which we hope to expand our female empowerment and recognition on campus even more in the future. Next, I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate and recognize multiple different groups for their achievements these past few months. Starting with our Link Crew Club, a group of leaders who share passion for serving our freshmen and helping them integrate them into Westview school environment. I would like to recognize them for their hard work and success on their annual ice cream social for the freshmen. This year's freshman root beer float social event was nothing short of a success and a memorable experience for our freshmen. We always find a great pleasure in providing special experiences for the youngest within our school, for their spirit and vitality sends a strong and empowering message that trickles upward to our upperclassmen on campus. I would also like to recognize our Westview ROTC on their annual pass and review ceremony. This annual ceremony they look forward to each year and work hard for is a long-standing ceremony that honors the best cadets for their dedication and the work they put into the program unconditionally. Similarly, I'd like to congratulate Westview's mock trial for placing first in San Diego and 10th in state of California. Not only is this an outstanding achievement for each individual within mock trial, Westview as a whole is beyond proud to host such an accomplished mock trial team. Also, our exceptional Westview Theater Company is in the midst of their Mamma Mia production. With a full audience on their opening night, our Westview Theater Company continues to make a name for themselves with their top-quality productions that showcase our talented Westview students. Lastly, all thanks to our newly appointed ASB Secretary, Josh Yang, Westview is proud to announce that we have successfully kickstarted a fully functioning recycling program, all in conjunction with our efforts to be a more environmentally friendly school. Though our recycling program is not yet 100% completed, starting up is a great accomplishment in itself. We have placed one ASB verified recycling bin in each building for staff and teachers to recycle any used paper, cardboard, and other recyclable materials. Each Friday, ASB members will go to pick up these bins and then dump them in the collected recyclable materials into a verified recycling dumpster. With the great help of our advisor, Mr. Sosnowski, and our administration team, we will have county recycling chums come pick up our recyclable materials, ensuring that our recycling efforts will be properly taken care of. With that, Westview ASB continues to work hard to plan events and activities up until the very last day of the school year. The hard work never stops. We are excited to kick off our first ever 3v3 basketball tournament following spring break, inspired by our ever most popular dodgeball tournament. Right after, we will showcase our spring music festival, highlighting our talented Westview musicians and artists, in addition to bringing fun spirit onto Westview campus. Inevitably, May brings the impending stress of AP tests onto our academically rigorous campus, but our ASB class is making the diligent effort in compensating for this period of academic stress by putting on relaxing and fun mental health-focused activities to aid our students during this time. And finally, with the end of the school year right around the corner comes prom and our end of the year rally. I would like to recognize our junior class presidents, Lily Bryan and Lucy Sullivan, for their months of planning to make this year's prom an unforgettable experience for our upperclassmen. I'm happy to report that spirit amongst our Wolverines has only continued to grow and thrive. Each day on our campus, one cannot miss the so many groups of students and individuals that come together to support one another during this final stretch of the school year. With that, thank you all for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sal. That was quite the report. So things are pretty slow over at Westview, it sounds like. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'd like to invite Charlie Hickok from Mount Carmel. Welcome.
Good evening, Powell Unified School Board. My name is Charlie Hickok, and I'm the ASB president at Mount Carmel. I'm pleased to inform you of the great things that are happening at Mount Carmel High School. As we roll near the halfway point of the third trimester, Mount Carmel is as busy as ever. As spring sports are in full swing, our athletes are headed into their league matches as they continue to pursue victory on the track, court, field, and in the pool. Theater at the Mount is getting ready for their spring production of Little Shop of Horrors that will debut the week following spring break. Winter Guard is also continuing to compete every weekend in various competitions, and Mount Carmel Dance Troupe continues its very exciting season as they head to states tomorrow and they head to nationals April 22nd through the 24th. Orchestra and band also performed in their spring concert last week, and tomorrow ASB is holding their spring pep rally, which is where Sun Devil athletes will be appreciated, dance troupe as well as color guard will perform, and students will participate in exciting class competitions. Sun Devils are also looking forward to the upcoming senior activities, as Mount Carmel will hold its first ever Sun Devil Bowl, which is a flag football competition where the seniors will face off against the juniors, and we also look forward to our annual dodgeball tournament that is expected to take place. As I informed you last time I spoke of the introduction of the Clean Campus crew into Mount Carmel's community, we have seen a great impact on our campus. As post-lunch, our campus has become far more clean, and through video production, social media, and posters around the school, the Clean Campus crew has advertised our motto that clean and green is the Sun Devil way. Clean Campus crew also continues to promote ways of saving food that is being redonated back into the community. Sun Devils are continuing to work hard as well as embody the characteristics of the Sun Devil way day after day. Thank you for your tremendous support and your time. And remember, it's great to be a Sun Devil.
Thank you very much. You're all welcome to stay as long as you like, or you're welcome to leave. If you want to ask us questions later on, you're welcome to do that, but I doubt you do. So thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. That brings us to item 4.2, public comments. Mr. O'Connor-Ratcliffe. There's no green sheet if she wants to look at that.
There is one public comment, President Zane.
All right.
And that is for Jill Smith. Come on down.
Welcome.
Well, I can't say I'm as prepared as those students, but I'll give it a go. So, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak in front of you today. I am a proud parent of a Valley Elementary student. My son is in the dual language Spanish program, and he's a kindergartner, and I also have a 3-year-old son. I am here to ask you to reconsider the elementary school start times. It seems that due to the oversight of the California law, not stating some sort of minimum time requirement for elementary, the elementary got the short end of the stick by trying to accommodate the high school and middle schoolers. So Valley Elementary right now starts at 8 a.m. and I can tell you that that is way too early to get 2 little kids out the door, and they're on time, fed, and all the other things that come into taking care of 2 very dependent little kids. So right now, with start time at 8 a.m., I could tell you that sleep is being shortcut by families. Food is being rushed. Kids are running to school currently, eating junk food, eating in their car. Students are showing up late, and this is to get there at the current time of 8 a.m. The new start time for next year that has been assigned to Valley is 7:45. Now, the other option for elementary school start times is 8:45. I was originally told, that that would be the exception, 8:45, and a few schools would be given that. Over the course of the last few months, I've watched other elementary schools get pushed to the 8:45 start time, and Valley left at 7:45. The current explanation that is listed is that that time is closest to the current bell. That is a true statement. 7:45 is closer to 8 a.m. than 8:45. But I can also say that 8 a.m. is currently too early. So to push us to 7:45 even earlier it feels like you're sacrificing the younger children in order to accommodate the older ones. And for example, my family, having 2 young kids, this new start time will negatively impact my family for the next 7 years. 7 years. It's not like you're in middle school where you're only there for 3 years. It will impact us for the next 7. There are negative health impacts, as I mentioned, from sleep to food. Now, sleep, you say, put your son to bed earlier. Okay, well, my son is 6, and he currently goes to bed at 7:15. So you want me to put him to bed at 6:45? I could, but I don't think his body is going to want to go to bed at 6:45. So no matter what, he's going to be, losing sleep by me having to wake him up in the morning to get there on time. And as we've all lived through the pandemic the last 2 years, we understand the implications of not having a healthy immune system. Sleep is one of the major components of that. And then you top that off with parents are now so rushed to get their kids to school on time, they're not going to feed them a healthy breakfast.
That's your 3 minutes, Ms. Smith. It's all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other public comments, Ms. Conrock?
There are no other public comments.
Thank you very much. Takes us to item 4.3, an action item, approval of resolution number 44-2022 entitled National Nurses Week. Mr. Mizell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Staff are pleased to bring before you tonight resolution number 44-2022 proclaiming May 6th through 12th, 2022 as National Nurses Week. As licensed healthcare professionals, healers, comforters, and role models for students and staff, school nurses perform a vast spectrum of vital tasks which improve the safety, health, and academic success of all students. This resolution proclaiming May 6th through 12th National Nurses Week is being presented to the Board of Education tonight to celebrate and acknowledge the incredible accomplishments and contributions of school nurses and healthcare staff throughout the Poway Unified School District. During the COVID-19 pandemic, our nursing team has risen to the challenge, coordinating with the staff of the Poway Unified School District, the San Diego County Office of Education, and San Diego County Public Health Services. Our nursing team has worked tirelessly the last 2 years, attending to staff and student needs. National Nurses Week will provide our organization a meaningful opportunity to thank our healthcare professionals for taking such great care of our students, staff, and families, and for advocating for improved health services in our schools. Tonight, I'm pleased to have 4 representatives from this staff joining us tonight, and I'd like to ask Director Jody Payne to join us as well, if she could come up. We do that now, or? Yeah.
Okay, so this evening I'd like to start with our first representative, Joanne Chavapan. Joanne is one of our district resource nurses. Congratulations, and thank you for everything that you've done on behalf of our system. Next, we have Shannon Morris. Just stay right there. One, okay. There we go. One, okay. And then we'll do a big group.
So, for the sake of our audience, let me start all over. We haven't done this in a while, so it's pretty obvious this is a pretty shaky board meeting. So, we want to recognize and thank all of our nurses who are here today. We want to recognize for the first time ever our National Nurses Week that's going to begin on May 6th and end on May 12th. We have currently, I believe, 8 nurses in the school district, and we want to recognize you to thank you all for all of your hard work, especially over the last 2 years. We know how much you guys have done to contribute. And so on behalf of the district staff and the board members, we want to show our appreciation and thank you today with the certificate of appreciation and our flowers. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Shannon Morris Kardaki. Next, we have Stacy Monroe. And next we have Lori Snyder.
On behalf of the district, thank you again and congratulations, and thank you for all your hard work. I'm sorry I couldn't join you up there for pictures, but as nurses, you can understand I broke my ankle. So going up and down. So I'm sorry I couldn't join you for your pictures, but thank you for all of your work.
Thank you again and congratulations. That requires a motion.
I'll make a motion to
Motion
approve.
by Dr. Patel,
Second.
second by Ms. O'Connor Ratcliffe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 6-0. This is item 4.4, an information presentation item, legislative updates on proposed school funding bills. Board members, you.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Today I will be presenting item 4.4, 2022 legislative updates on proposed school funding bills. If we could screencast this presentation. Oh. Oh, okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Winnie Xu, a current student board member on the Board of Education. So today in this presentation, we are going to briefly go over, next slide, please. Oh, yes. We're going to briefly go over LCFF school funding and base grants in POWA Unified, the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on enrollment and absenteeism within the POWA Unified School District, and go over the 3-bill package from Assemblymember Murasachi, and also next steps and consideration for board action. Next slide, please. So the LCFF school funding and base grants. So for our audience, the LCFF is the local control funding formula for California and essentially designates the school funding for our local districts enacted in 2013 to 2014 school year. And essentially it provides uniform grade span-specific base grants and also is calculated based on student demographic factors. And if we look at this figure on this slide, the POWA Unified School District has a significantly lower ADA per pupil than San Diego Unified School District, a district with around 70,000 more students than our district. So essentially, a district with a higher population has greater funding per pupil than POWA Unified. And if we look at the last asterisk on this slide, POWA Unified is the lowest funded school district in San Diego County. Next slide, please. Now, as for the 2021 to 2022 California spending plan, our budget plan for this school year includes $80.5 billion based on Proposition 98 funding for K-12 education. So a recap on Prop 98, it is essentially the minimum requirements that has to be allotted towards K-12 education and community college spending. And this year's 2021 to 2022 budget also includes an additional $1.1 billion for an ongoing increase in the local control funding plan for local school districts. Now, under here, under this bullet point, we do see that POWA Unified does not qualify for much of this additional $1.1 billion, and we, due to our unduplicated count of 22%. Also, another word for unduplicated is high needs students within our district. And because of this smaller funding that we received from the $1.1 billion, we also received a rather small share of LEOP money. Next slide, please. Now, in this diagram, we see the 2021 to 2022 PUSD LCFF budget. So, as we see, for the total revenue projected for our district in this school year, we have received a projected revenue of $440,627,242. And as referred to this figure, PUSD receives 77% of total funding from LCSFF, and only 3% comes from our unduplicated high needs students. And the rest of that 20% funding comes from base grant. And that is the main focus of our bill package for this presentation, as increasing our base grant would provide greater funding for POWA Unified School District, taking into account our population of around 36,000 students, and essentially providing more equity in school district funding as opposed to larger districts like San Diego Unified or Los Angeles Unified School District. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on our school district from these past 2 years, we see that our enrollment in March of 2020 was around 36,514 students, and as of last month, we are just around 35,000 students. And this drop in enrollment is caused from the past 2 years of changes in virtual learning, our different COVID-19 protocols, and staying in home COVID mandates. And we have a drop of around 1,460 students in enrollment in 2 years. And also a large increase of absenteeism caused by COVID-19 illness and also quarantine protocols. So as we've seen this past year, COVID-19 case spikes and also our quarantine of 14 days plus has increased our absenteeism and dropped PUSD's ADA, which is our attendance funding, from 96.9% to 94%, an extremely significant drop in percentage. So taking these differences from these past 2 years, that is a significant drop in funding that PUSD can be receiving. Next slide, please. Now, as for school funding support during this pandemic, introducing this bill package would help school districts like Poway Unified and like school districts with our size and smaller have the necessary funding to be dealing with this ongoing crisis, as we are less insulated than the larger school districts. So the first bill that we're starting with is AB 1607, which is ADA 3-year average. And if enacted, this bill would start with the 2022 to 2023 school year. That would allow ADA to be calculated based on a 3-year daily average attendance for the current fiscal year and each of the previous 2 fiscal years. So in terms of how this would apply to Poway Unified, as we've seen, this current year is at 94% ADA, which means that with calculated in a 3-year average, we would be averaging with our 96 and 97% ADA. So essentially allowing PUSD to have greater ADA rather than the decrease from this year. And as for AB 1609, hold harmless, this is in conjunction with AB 1607, and it would essentially allow school districts to be held harmless for ADA loss for purposes of state funding. Now, once again, as seen on the slide, it would allow PUSD to maintain our higher ADA rates and essentially insulate our district against potential crises that would drop our absentee rate. And lastly, AB 1614 would increase our base grant, adding $4.2 billion into the current base grant funding. Now, as referring to our first figure, we have 20% of our funding coming from the base grant. So subsequently, an increase in base grant funding within California would allow more districts to have an increase in base funding and would add around $22 million in additional funding for Poway Unified School District. Next slide, please. Now, the purpose of potentially issuing a letter of support towards this bill package is that these 3-year averages would once again insulate Poway Unified from lowered ADA from the COVID-19 pandemic. It would provide greater fiscal stability and also give school districts our same size and smaller greater flexibility with their local spending so that they would not have to compromise spending and safety mandates with the lack of funding they're receiving due to drops in their attendance rates. And once again, an increase in base grants for Poway Unified would greatly benefit us, regardless of district population and regardless of enrollment. Next slide, please. Now, as for board action for consideration in further board meetings, I would like to provide legislative updates for these 3 bills that are currently only in first reading as of January 14th, 2021, and also a consideration of letter of support for this bill package within the district after further updates are provided. Next slide. Thank you. Any questions from our Cabinet or Board of Education?
I see people reaching for microphones. Mr. Conor Radcliffe?
I actually have a question for Dr. Patel. Has CSBA taken a position on any of these bills?
We are meeting tomorrow to formally voice what our current standing is. So we'll be having a meeting in Sacramento, the legislative committee, and we'll be voting on these. But right now, there's significant support across all educational agencies for supporting any way we can get to strengthening our base funding and updating it, as well as looking at the tiers and increasing the amount to the tiers.
And I did give a report last night to our Mesa Verde PTSA. The state PTA in California is supporting AB 1614 officially as well. So another education group supporting this increase to the base grant. Hooray.
Okay, if there are, oh,
Did you have something to add, Dr. Patel?
Yeah, I was just going to add whether you have heard of other agencies that are officially supporting it. So that I would love to take that information back tomorrow if you know of any officially. I know it's still early in the process and there's still a lot of negotiations going on. I'm just curious to know if you have any insight.
I believe that the Student Board Member Association and counterpart to CSBMA, is going to be discussing this tomorrow as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I'm definitely pushing a strong support.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to getting an update at the next meeting, and I'd be open to considering a letter of support from the board for increasing the base. I think that is the right direction to go in.
Appreciate the report, Ms. Hsu. It is something that we've been discussing for years, is how to do something with regard to the LCFF funding as in so far as it impacts PUSD. So I look forward to further updates and taking action of support. Certainly within our purview to do so. So thank you very much. Thank you. That takes us to new item 4.5, previously 11.1, appointment of student board member to serve during the 2022-2023 school year. Dr. Phelps.
Thank you. So 11.1 is the appointment of a student board member to serve during the 2022-23 school year. Based on the board adopted bylaws 9150, we are asking the board to approve the recommendation of the board's interview subcommittee to appoint Prisha Putham Baker from Mount Carmel High School as a student board member for 2022-23. There were a record number of applicants from all 5 of our comprehensive high schools, which made the decision extremely difficult. However, Prisha really stood out through her application, her experience, and especially her interview. Her passion and her dedication for serving students and improving how her school and the district will meet student needs is inspiring. We know that she'll do an excellent job. Her term of office will be her senior year, starting with the August 2022 board meeting and concluding with the June 2023 board meeting. At this time, we ask the board to approve Prisha's appointment and Braden Liu as the alternate for any. If for any reason Prisha cannot serve, then Braden will step in as the new board member. Congratulations to Prisha. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Phelps. I'd like to actually defer to Dr. Seitzman and Ms. Couvret to make the motions in as much as they participated in the interview process.
I would love to make the motion.
Couvret would like to make the motion.
Second.
Dr. Seitzman seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. The vote's unanimous.
Do you want to step forward, Prisha, and say a few words? You're welcome to come and say something if you'd like at the podium.
Oh, first of all, thank you. I am beyond excited, as I have said to a few of the board members recently, to be part of this motion. As I mentioned to Dr. Phelps in my interview, I believe that wherever you are at any point in your life, you must impact the environment around you, to the best capability that you can in that moment. And of course, as a soon-to-be rising senior and as someone who is going to leave the district soon, I only have so much time to make that impact to the most profound extent that I can. And so I know that being a part of the board will allow me to have the most powerful effect that I can in the community that has served me so beautifully throughout my K-12 education. Thank you.
Congratulations again. We look forward to serving with you. Thank you.
First time out, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Patricia, you're welcome to leave as well, unless you want to stay for the entirety of the meeting, but you don't have to. So, thank you so much. And not until August, that's right, yeah. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Takes us to item 5.0, the consent calendar. Does anyone have any items to pull? 5.7A, thank you, is pulled. Any other items? Ms. Hsu, Ms. Couvret, Dr. Seitzman, Ms. Connor-Ratcliffe, Dr. Patel? None? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Approved by Dr. Patel, second by Ms. Couvret. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
He's an auction bidder.
Item 6.1, approval of declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Zane. Under the California Code of Regulations, a declaration of need for fully qualified educators is submitted to the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing as a prerequisite to the issuance of an emergency permit or limited assignment permit. The district always makes every effort to employ fully credentialed teachers whenever possible. However, from time to time, it is necessary for school districts to submit a request for an emergency teaching permit or assign teachers to instruct in subjects that are not fully yet authorized under their credential. Examples of this are varied, but can include teachers with out-of-state credentials who are still working to complete authorizations under California Code, teachers who need the appropriate English learner authorization, or need to issue an emergency CLAD or B-CLAD authorization. The Commission on Teacher Credentialing understands these needs and provides us alternatives to school districts that will allow these assignments. Therefore, we are submitting a declaration with the following estimated emergency permit needs for the upcoming school year in 2022-23. These estimates in the attached declaration take into consideration the number of submitted requests that we have averaged during this current school year and the last school year as our guide.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. We see this, it seems like at least once a year. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe, second by Dr. Seitzma. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Item 6.2, action item, approval of the new salary schedule and salary reallocation for management positions. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Zane. Over the last several years, it has become increasingly difficult for the Poway Unified School District to recruit and retain highly qualified candidates for management level positions. And the district has lost a competitive advantage to local and regional districts when seeking candidates for internal or external promotional opportunities. The Personnel Support Services Department and Business Support Services conducted a review and analysis of our certificated and classified management positions in comparison to other school districts, and several significant concerns and areas were identified. For example, teacher compensation at the higher end of the PUSD teacher salary schedule often exceeds the entry level, starting, and maximum salary of our management level positions, such as an assistant principal in PUSD. This vertical misalignment has impeded our ability to promote and attract teacher leaders who seek promotional opportunities. Due to the increasing operational and instructional needs of the assistant principal positions over the last several years, the district has been paying for additional workdays each and every summer in order to meet such demands for students and staff at our school sites. Next, the work year for our PUSD assistant principals also is far below the average length of the work year for similar positions in other school districts throughout the county. This analysis also revealed that most PUSD management positions fall below the average in comparison to the maximum salary levels, primarily due to the fact that the management salary schedule has 5 steps, and the average number of steps for like positions across other school districts is 6 to 7 on average, which has contributed to the maximum salaries lagging behind other school districts. In order to be competitive with the surrounding districts, the recommendations for the board's consideration include the following. Increase the work year by 8 workdays for high school assistant principal positions. Secondly, increase the work year by 9 workdays for middle school assistant principal positions and move the position up from range 18 to 19. Increase the work year by 9 workdays for elementary school assistant principal positions and move the position from range 17 to 18. increase the workday by 8 workdays for the continuation alternative school assistant principal position and move the position also from range 17 to 18, and move the career and technical adult education assistant principal, which is a 12-month position, from range 18 to 19, as well as move the director of preschool and before and after school programs from range 21 to 22, and finally, the recommendation to add a step 6 onto the management personnel salary schedule for our management positions. Collectively and in the final analysis, these recommendations will enhance the ability to promote, attract, recruit, and retain the brightest and strongest leaders possible, and retain those leaders in the organization who possess the experience and institutional knowledge toward our goals of achieving long-term success and the sustainability of the organization.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jimenez. We've all had an opportunity to look through the schedules. Is there a motion to approve?
I have a comment first. I was able to look through everything ahead of time, and I appreciate the information. I also appreciate that San Diego Unified has 3 assistant principal positions open right now out there, and their job descriptions and salary ranges absolutely line up with the new things that we are being asked to approve today. I'm glad that we are looking at our classified and certificated management positions. I do look forward to seeing eventually, soon I hope, when we see all of the extensive reviews conducted on the rest of our classified positions, the non-management ones. But on that, I'm happy to make the motion to approve.
It's a motion by Mr. Connor-Ratcliffe. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Dr. Patel. Any further comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. So item 7.1, an information and presentation item, refunding of Community Facilities District Number 15 Improvement Area A, Del Sur East, special tax bonds. Mr. Little.
Yes, thank you, President Zane. Good evening, everyone. This evening we have 2 special tax bonds agenda items. Agenda item 7.1 delineates taxpayers' savings related to the refinancing of current CFD 15 Improvement Area A special tax bonds. And this agenda item is for informational purposes only. And agenda item number 7.2 seeks approval of our finance team in relation to the sale of new special tax bonds for CFD 15 Improvement Area D. The presentation that follows will address both. You'll recall that at the February 10th meeting of the Board of Education, we presented 3 opportunities to refinance existing special tax bonds for taxpayers' savings. At that meeting, the board approved the team of consultants to engage in this work, and we have since, as a team, completed 2 of those proposed refundings for taxpayers' savings, and now we bring to the board the 3rd for review in agenda item 7.1. We will review the structure of this refunding in subsequent slides, and we'll bring the legal documents required to complete this work to the board next month for approval. Agenda item 7.2, which follows, relates to the sale of no more than $15 million in special tax bonds to begin reimbursing the developer, Lennar, for infrastructure work that has been completed to date or will soon be completed. These infrastructure improvements support the imminent development of the Black Mountain Ranch Community Park. Agenda item 7.2 seeks approval of the financing team who will partner with the district to facilitate the sale over the next 6 to 8 weeks. And Mr. Bauer is going to go into some detail in the slides that follow regarding that as well. So at this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Bauer, CEO of Fieldman Rollup & Associate, the district's municipal advisor.
Great, and thank you. On slide 4, this one is green colored, and we have a yellow colored one as well to try to separate the 2. The green is associated with the refinancing, and that first set, or the second set of bullet points there, the first sub-bullet point, favorable market conditions, I want to be careful with that one. We've had the worst municipal bond market in the history last quarter. So what that's done is create a very little volume. So some investors are looking to do things like what we've talked about, those direct placements. That's what we did here. If we were doing a standard transaction, this would be nowhere near in the money. But because we had that conversation and we executed that term sheet, needing subsequent approval in May, we have this opportunity. So favorable market conditions may be a bit misleading, but it is favorable that a bank is willing to do what they're doing with us now, because in other markets they wouldn't. So all those other ones are the same as the other 2. So I'll get down to the savings in that 3rd bullet point area. Your net present value savings is $748,000. Your gross savings, the true dollars that investors will be homeowners will be saving is at 2.2 million there, with an NPV. We're all struggling with pronunciation tonight. NPV at 7.95, and then I'll break out that cost of issuance. And this only improves the special tax reduction model that we've been talking about for years or so. So on this slide, a lot of details. I think what I just want to jump to is the 10-year Treasury. I've always highlighted that for you and told you that's the measure to follow. It was at 2.14 when we submitted this. It was at 1.71 in November when we started talking about this. When I pulled in your driveway today, it was at 2.65. So that gives you an indication of how much things have changed over a very short period of time. Something like this changes at a greater fashion than a 10-year Treasury. 10-year Treasury is a very safe security. The federal government can print money. You can't, right? So they are considered more secure than Poway Unified or the CFD. So when that 10-year Treasury moves, we move more. So go on the next slide, please. Your sources and uses. I'll get into some of the details of cost of issuance here, but you've seen this before. This is a refunding. This slide really highlights the light greenish color there. That is what we're reducing debt service by. And I've always showed you this in the past, but I've already hit on those numbers to the left, so I'll go to the next slide. And then here we've broken down kind of all the key stats. A few years ago, we used to go into great detail, but I'll move pretty quickly here. But your cost of issuance are $250. You do not have an underwriter's discount on this, just like the last two, because we have a placement agent instead. The placement agent works directly with the bank, and so that's incorporated within the cost of issuance. Next slide, please. Our schedule is we had that meeting with you on February 7th. We updated things for direct placement versus a public offering, and we're presenting that to you today. And then on May 9th, we hope to have the documents before you, just like I did the last two on the previous meeting. And then we close June 6th, and then the bonds would be called on September 1st, 2022. So that's it on the refunding. If there's any questions on that one, please let me know. If not, I'll move into the new money.
I just want to make a correction. I think on this slide, if I'm not mistaken, it was the board meeting of February 10th that we shared this last time. So our apologies for that typo there.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I should have been more careful. We have week of, so sorry about that. And so on the yellow, this is the new money. This is where you have an agreement with the developer that when they've built out their project and they have facilities to get reimbursed for, that you would work with them to do their new money transaction. And that's what this is. You have 506 units, 79 are prepaid. That's a pretty large percentage of the total CFD. And then we can, I think, go on to the next slide. Oh, on a special tax reduction model, we had already anticipated that you'd one day sell bonds on this. So by selling bonds, you're not impacting that special tax reduction model.
Can you remind me what area is 15, the CFD 15?
So if you, it's a little northwest of Del Norte High School. So there's your special tax reduction model. I already mentioned it's not impacted. Next slide, please. As you can see, things have changed a lot. This one is not a direct placement. Investors don't typically, even though we're in a unique environment here, the banks have not taken that step to do new money transactions yet as a direct placement for this type of credit. So this one we are subject to market conditions. However, this one impacts the amount that the developer is going to get in bond proceeds. So the strategy of getting the refundings done and getting those taxpayer savings, I think, was really a prudent move. And now this impacts the developer, does not impact your taxpayers. So here you can see we're trying to get a project fund of just around $15 million, and then you can see the cost of issuance underwriter's discount here as well. Next slide, please. This is that key stat slide. Your breakout to the right is your finance team members. And then you can see to the left when we ran this, kind of where we stood with things. This will change, and it has changed to a higher interest rate amount. We'll give you an update in May, and then again after the transaction closes. Next slide, please. Here's our schedule. Week of May 9th is when we are going to ask for your approval. And then you can see here when we do the transactions at the end of May and close in June. And then this, so as I mentioned, when we started this venture, we have 4 transactions that we're doing, and then we're in motion. You have a rate lock that expires September 1 on another transaction. We'll be starting on that one as well, and we will, that one will be a standalone presentation. So hopefully I didn't move too quickly. I know you've been going through a lot of these, so I tried to go through it more quickly than typical.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Just an information.
Yep, it's an information item. 7.2 is the next
I have
action.
a-
Ms. Couvret.
Right now, with interest rates going up, are we starting to lose the window of these being more and more possible as we move forward in the years?
The short the answer is yes. And the only reason why that green one works is because we entered into an agreement with the bank, subject to your approval, that if we can get your approval, we would do the refunding. And but if we were trying to do this in a public offering, it would not work right now. So that is the only reason why we're still here today talking about that one. Now the yellow one, the new money, that is an agreement where we told the developer, when we can, we'll sell bonds for you. Now what this is going to do, as rates have gone up, it'll give them less money in reimbursement. But yeah, as far as refunding goes, we probably won't be talking about that for another 2 or 3 years.
Thank you so much. Takes us to item 7.2, approval of resolution number 41-2022 entitled Approving and Employing Consultants in Connection with the Issuance of Community Facilities District Number 15 Improvement Area D, Del Sur East Special Tax Bonds. Mr. Little.
Yes, thank you, President Zane. As per the last presentation, we are seeking board approval of resolution number 41-2022, which basically appoints the financing team to sell the new bonds for CFD number 15 Improvement Area D.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Dr. Patel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Couvret. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. So item 8.1, action item ratification of enforced student expulsion. Ms. Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we bring forward one ratification of an enforced expulsion.
Thank you. Is there a motion for motion? Case number 2021-2022.06.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Connor Ratcliffe. Second by Dr. Seitzma. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 8.2, action item readmission of student on expulsion. Ms. Osborne.
Thank you. Tonight we are pleased to bring forward an early readmission for a student on expulsion. The student has met all requirements of their stipulated agreement.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion for case number 2021-2022.02?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Connor Ratcliffe. Second by Dr. Seitzma. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. 8.3, first reading presentation, proposed adoption of the A through G completion improvement grant plan for Poway Unified School District. Ms. Osborne.
Thank you, President Zane. Tonight I will provide an overview of the plans for utilizing the California Department of Education funding for A to G completion improvement grant. Pages. Next slide, please. The California Department of Education has allocated funding to districts to be used for activities that directly support pupil access and successful completion of A to G course requirements. Our allocation is $1,387,527, and this can be used through the 2025-2026 school year. So we will have 4 years to utilize this improvement effort. Next slide, please. Our plan includes a systems approach focused on 3 areas: building capacity within and across the system to strengthen identification of students not completing A to G requirements, interventions and monitoring of students, enhance early intervention and supports at the middle level, and expand our targeted and focused supports in high school A to G courses. We have looked at our data and we recognize that we have specific student groups that we will be dedicating our attention to that are not yet achieving at the same level as our all district A to G completion is 82% currently, but these student groups are not at that same level, and there's a significant discrepancy for our English learners, students with learning differences, Hispanic and African American students. And so this will be and I will go into more detail on these 3 focus areas. Next slide, please. So building capacity of staff will include professional learning focused on the analysis of transcripts. I've experienced this process when I was at the county, and it brings to light patterns and trends for students not yet successfully on track for A to G course completion. San Diego County office has developed a series of professional learning sessions focused on transcript analysis as well as investigating systems of support. These learning sessions will provide the opportunity to review our current support for students and evaluate their effectiveness and make improvements. We will also expand our work with integrated English language development and universal design for learning strategies across content areas to strengthen support for students that are English learners or students with learning differences. We believe that professional learning will impact mindsets, practices, and pedagogy to improve outcomes for students, along with ongoing monitoring and data review processes. Next slide, please. The research is clear regarding early identification and intervention. Our plan will also focus on supports at middle school. Through collaboration with Director Tiffany King, we are including a focus on vertical alignment between middle and high school education specialists. We want to ensure all middle school special education teachers have a clear understanding of the systems of support available in high school A to G courses. We will also add an AVID Excel to our middle school AVID program, which is specifically designed for long-term English learners. Chronic absenteeism is also recognized as an early warning indicator for school success, and so we will include outreach and intervention using these grant funds. Next slide, please. We'll be expanding targeted supports for students by ensuring the summer bridge program can continue after the expanded learning opportunities funds are exhausted. This program connects students with high school before the year begins, and feedback from students is they really appreciate this time to come on campus, connect with staff and other students, and become familiar with the high school campus and the lifestyle of high school students. One student recently shared that she met her math teacher during the summer bridge program, and she had such a connected relationship. She did so much better in her math courses when she started high school. So we know that it is successful. We're also leveraging our partnership with College Bound to include tutoring for scholars that are part of the College Bound program. And then we've been investigating our math accelerated courses, and our goal is to strengthen those and ensure that all of our campuses use a research-based program that is having proven results for students not only passing Integrated 1, but continued success in Integrated Math 2. Another area that we are concerned about is support for our students with substance abuse, and oftentimes when students are struggling with anxiety or depression, they return to substances, and we want to make sure that we are able to provide counseling outside the school day through mental health systems. So we will be partnering with them to provide that counseling service. And again, the chronic absenteeism intervention and support at high school. Next slide, please. And finally, in order to ensure that all of these things happen and that we truly create systems change and build capacity, we need to have a point person for this work to follow through, attend the professional learning, and follow up on site and on campuses with application of learning and data analysis and monitoring of student success. So we are recommending that we add an A to G administrator or counselor to focus their attention on this work, to see it through and partner with the school sites in these improvement efforts. This position would be located in our attendance and discipline office so that they would be able to partner also on the focus of chronically absent students. Next slide, please. So tonight is information only on the A to G Completion Improvement Grant, and next month we'll ask the board to approve the final plan. A detailed plan has been provided to the board. Do you have any questions for me?
Dr. Patel.
I had one that just occurred to me as you were presenting. The A through G Administrator Counselor, would that be fully paid from the grant?
Yes, it would.
And if we didn't have ongoing funding for the grant in out years, what would be the status of that position?
Well, my hope is that we build capacity in the system and at the school site so that we work with our registrars, our counselors, our site administrators to create practices that will not be dependent on a person, but that we build the system's capacity so that they own those practices.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Couvret.
A comment. You know, I love it when we get money like this, that you're being very intentional with what we're doing and hopefully get real results from it. Is our summer bridge programs at every high school? Because I know RB did it. I didn't know if it was at every high school as well as middle schools.
So that's correct. Over the years, Rancho Bernardo High School has continuously had the summer bridge program. It does come with a cost, and so our expanded learning opportunities for COVID funds allowed us to provide a summer bridge program at all 5 comprehensive high schools. So we want to make sure that that doesn't go away when the COVID money runs out. So this will extend the summer bridge program for all 5 of our comprehensive high schools for the next 4 years. Actually 5, because we already have it in an ELO this summer.
Excellent, thank you. Anybody else?
Just a quick comment that in walking classrooms at Mount Carmel recently with Mr. Mizell, we stepped into at least 1, maybe 2 different math accelerated courses at Mount Carmel High School. And I know that they are doing a great job. They have measurable results that a lot more of our students are completing those A through G requirements because of the work they're doing there. So I hope that will maybe serve as a model for some other campuses who haven't done that work, but we know it works now at Mount Carmel. So kudos to Mount Carmel, and I'm glad we have something that can be a model for other schools.
That is the model we plan to replicate and provide support to schools so that they can create the sections with the teacher like Mount Carmel does. So the same teacher is teaching the math accelerated class and the integrated 1 class, so that we're truly front loading, and we want to build that in again as a system support.
One more comment about Mount Carmel. I love that they're trying different things. They tried it before the regular class, so the front load, and they've also done it where it occurs afterwards. So it's a homework help or a reteaching, and both of them have been successful in different ways. So I love that we're not afraid to try things and see if they're going to work, and both of those systems have worked. So I'm excited that we have multiple examples of things that we can do everywhere.
Excellent, thank you so much. This is item 8.4, first reading, proposed adoption of new high school textbook. Ms. Osborne.
Thank you, President Zane. This evening we bring to the board for a first reading a new textbook to support instruction in our high school United States history course. The textbooks have been reviewed and recommended by representative high school U.S. history teachers and aligns with the course standards and most recent California Social Science framework adopted in 2016. During the pilot, the materials, feedback from students and parents was gathered to help inform teachers as they analyzed and made their recommendation. The materials will be an update to some of our current materials that were published in 1999. This is a first reading.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Very good.
1999.
This is item 12.1, board member reports. Miss you.
Good evening, everyone. Happy National Assistance Principal Week. I appreciate all of the administrators within the Poway Unified School District. And also, I hope that we're holding up in this heat wave. Now, in the month of March, the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, which I'm a part of, and alongside other high schoolers within our district, hosted our annual student conference, this year titled the Conquer Conference, where we addressed mental, social, and emotional health in collaboration with mental health advocate Christine Brain XP. Our Poway Unified School District's middle schools participated in various activities around handling stress, anxiety, feelings of loneliness from the pandemic, and also prioritizing self-care. I was inspired by our middle schoolers' abilities to be open and vulnerable around our group members, as well as my fellow high schoolers' consistent reassurance and ability to listen to these middle schoolers. Thank you to Dr. Phelps, Ms. Christine Peck, and Margaret Godman for organizing this event. I also had the opportunity to deliver the keynote speech at the annual PUSD recognition dinner. And once again, congratulations to our educators, parent volunteers, district leaders, classified staff, business supporters, counselors, and school administrators who were honored. And thank you to all of Team PUSD. And thank you once again to Ms. Christine Peck and Brittany Arnett for organizing this dinner, as well as the Rancho Bernardo Inn employees for a wonderful evening. Now this month I met with Dr. Patel and Dr. Burke and her CSBA legislative advocates surrounding the topic of enrollment-based funding and school funding legislation in response to the impacts that the COVID-19 pandemic had within our school districts. I was inspired by the pretty complicated and recondite issue of school funding to create this presentation this evening, item 4.4, legislative updates on school funding. And I hope that I can provide updates surrounding this bill package and its potential to benefit our district and others alike. Thank you to Board Member O'Connor Ratcliffe, Dr. Patel, Dr. Phelps, and Associate Superintendent Little for clarifying and offering constructive feedback as I created this presentation. It does take a village to understand these topics, so I hope that I can bring what I learned to the next two board meetings. And to our Poway Unified seniors, college decisions are finally at an end. It was very, very grueling, sometimes confusing, and sometimes unfair. So we made it through, and congratulations, everyone. And lastly, thank you to Miss Wendy Anderson and Miss Margaret Godman for their consistent help with administrative tasks and our board binder. And with that, I close my board report.
Thank you, Ms. Hsu. Ms. Couvret.
So I wanted to say how nice it was to be back in person, but I think we realized just how our kids felt their first day back on campus after being gone for 18 months, because it was a little awkward. So it's good to live in people's shoes. I was privileged to attend and speak at the March CAC meeting, and I remember when I first started my campaign, and I met with members of the special needs community and heard their frustration over the lack of information. And it's amazing what this group has put together in 3 short years. The resources available are now easier to identify, and the experiences and guidance for families is beyond valuable. So this group of volunteers is really Team PUSD. I attended the first esports competition at Abraxas. It's a great venue, super exciting, good music, amazing trophies. And this was the hard work of our Abraxas mentor, Matthew Iskey, and our special needs volunteer extraordinaire, Tony Rubino. And we're going to see the sport grow at a tremendous rate. All our high schools have teams, and they're competing, and there will be a final tournament. And I know that my son who went to UC Irvine, there are scholarships there and a huge arena for esports. In fact, it had almost, I think, 5 times the number of attendants that watched the big esports than the Super Bowl. So it's coming. I zoomed in to the de-escalation webinar hosted by our own Dr. Patel. And I wanted to say it's wonderful to see the county support us as we prepare to post-COVID times. As alluded to by Ms. Hsu, our Superintendent Student Advisory Conquer Conference was an amazing success. Of course, I needed to go home and see how many balloons I could keep in the air as the students were demonstrating the stress of balancing so many priorities. The middle schoolers are so admire the high school students, but as Ms. Hsu said, they probably taught our high school leaders a few things as well, and I hope they're able to take these lessons learned back to their middle schools. I had a wonderful birthday present to sit in on the school board member interviews with over 27 applicants. It's so humbling to see these talented and well-rounded students want to serve. Seeing these accomplished, civic-minded students is a credit to our PUSD families and staff. We are definitely preparing our next generation of leaders. And finally, the highlight of the month was a PUSD recognition dinner, where we finally got to honor in person our 2020-21 and 2021-22 teachers and classified members of the year. Never has the honor been more earned than during the trials of COVID. So thank you to our sponsors for supporting us as we truly show our appreciation for the wonderful commitment of our teachers and staff. And that ends my board report.
Thank you very much. Dr. Zeitzman.
Thank you, President Zane. It is surreal to think that we have 39 days left of school. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're counting. Go into a kindergarten classroom, you'll know. First, I'd like to say to all of our students, faculty, staff, and parents, hang in there. Spring is in the air, and kiddos are getting restless with the longer, warmer days. The countdown to summer has begun. The days are getting longer, but I feel like the weeks are speeding by. Here are some of the highlights from my past month. I took in some new schools I had yet to visit with the surprise teacher and classified visits around the district. Congratulations to all our teachers and classified employees of the year. I was privileged, along with Ms. Couvret and Ms. Zhu and Superintendent Phelps, to sit on the subcommittee to interview several potential candidates for our next student board member. I was impressed with all that they have done to this point, and so congratulations to all of them, and I look forward to welcoming and working with Ms. Prisha in the fall. Last week, as has already been mentioned, we were all in attendance at the Concord Conference put on the amazing youth leadership of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. Youth leadership from all of our schools led engaging conversations and had interactive activities with the youth leadership from our middle schools, so kudos to all who participated. I was able to listen into many of the conversations that all delved around mental health. It is a critical and necessary step toward identifying the concerns and helping our students to work through the many struggles they face. I implore all of our students to continue to talk to one another, utilizes the resources available to you, ask questions, and provide suggestions on how we can continue to help you and be there for each other. On Monday, I also attended the POE Unified recognition dinner, my first. So congratulations to the coordinator, planner, and mistress of ceremonies, Christine Peck, and her amazing team for putting together an evening that was so special and memorable for all in attendance. I have no doubt the honorees and guests will remember that night for a long time to come. My table, and no doubt the whole room, was blown away by the keynote address from our very own Winnie Zhu. When you finished, one of my table mates said, "She has my vote." To say your speech was inspirational is an understatement. It is an honor to share this dais with you. And finally, last night I attended the Poway High School Band and Orchestra Festival. I was able to see the brilliant performances by Poway, Mount Carmel, and Rancho Bernardo. I know it's like a multi-day event, but I was there for those three. I was blown away by the size of the Mount Carmel and Rancho Bernardo Symphony Orchestra. They barely fit on the stage. I was worried about RB falling off the stage. There were so many. But the absolute highlight of the evening, actually my month, was running into a young man who promoted with my daughter from Garden Road in 2018. I had the pleasure of working with this young man as a substitute teacher in the autism class. He was always so funny. With the support of his instructional aide, he participated in the 5th grade violin program. Fast forward, and here he is performing with the Rancho Bernardo Symphony Orchestra. I recognized him right away as I was walking up to the PCBA. I introduced myself and wished him luck. Upon the conclusion of the program, as I was walking to my car, I saw him run out, still clutching his violin, run up to his mom and say, "That was so much fun." I couldn't resist. I approached his family, introduced myself again, and held back tears as I looked at this young man in a tuxedo clutching his violin. The family gave me permission to take a photo of him. They told him to smile, and he instinctively said, "Cheese." I shared that photo with some of his elementary instructional aides and his former teacher. None of them are at Garden Road anymore. I'm filled with pride as I think about the wonderful opportunities that are made available for all of our students, but especially our exceptional population who are able to shine on the same stage with their peers. I could go on and on and on with my thoughts and my feelings about how I was feeling last night. Deep breath one more day, and then we have spring break. I would like to wish the community members who celebrate a happy Passover, a happy Easter, if I'm missing anything, happy spring, everything else that goes along with it. Have a restful spring break. And with that, I close my report.
Mr. Connor Ratcliffe.
So I got fired up about a lot of things this month, so here goes. It's going to be long, all right? I'll just warn you now. April is Autism Appreciation Month, or... oh, I'll stick with that one. I like that one the best out of all the things that people tend to call this April month. So it's a great time to learn something new from actually autistic content creators. Check the hashtag #actuallyautistic. Support some autistic-led nonprofits. Celebrate autistic advocacy. Try amplifying some autistic voices, especially if you are on social media. I find that they have a very different perspective on this Autism Appreciation Month than some other organizations that are not represented and led by actually autistic people. I think that's very interesting, and I think you can see the difference right away once you start looking. On my Twitter page last week, I shared my delight in finding that the New York Times has a disability fellow on staff who is actually disabled, who helps make sure that their reporting on disability in the paper is done with appropriate care. So whatever appropriate care means, I assume there are a lot of things, the angle of interviews and articles, appropriate language. This is an important month for an autism celebration. I feel like it's a perfect time to do something like this in POWA Unified. I propose that we pursue a one-time contract, kind of on a trial basis, with a disability reader to comb through our LCAP. 1 year only. Let's see how it goes. It's a big document. It covers a lot of ground regarding students with disabilities, special education goals. I'm sure that the added value there will give us something to think about, possibly for a permanent hire who would read through all of our district and school documents. So maybe I see Ms. Osborne writing things down. Sounds like something maybe for our equity and improvement director to look into. Again, this is my thought, but I think it sounds wonderful. I already mentioned it, but I had a wonderful visit to Mount Carmel to get a firsthand look at some classrooms that were showcasing successful and innovative inclusive practices that have led to those measurable increases in students with disabilities meeting those rigorous academic goals like A through G completion rates. The staff there have worked really hard and tried some different things. Some of them work better than others. They're not afraid to try those new things though. And they have created a replicable model. So fantastic, awesome. I wish I could go on walking tours of all of the Inclusive Practices Schools of Excellence applicants. I know there were quite a few. We are making such positive changes. So I'm going to turn for a second here, something I got fired up about as I was leaving Mount Carmel. What I continue to be frustrated by is how slowly some have been to get on board. Least restrictive environment is not just some catchphrase, it is federal law, and it is the right thing to do. We cannot continue to allow some schools, some classrooms, some staff to just opt out. This is not optional, so I will be continuing to push for more professional development, more expert support staff until we make successful supported inclusion a reality district-wide. Back to Happy. Our staff, really, we have so many amazing. We went on the Teacher of the Year and Classified Employee of the Year visits this year. I know we will be recognizing them at a meeting coming up, so I'm gonna wait and talk about that then, and our recognition dinner. Just awesome. Kudos again to Director Peck, Dr. Phelps, the whole team who worked so hard to put that together, celebrating all of our people. A highlight for me also was our keynote address by Ms. Zhu. And since I'm on the topic, speaking of Ms. Zhu, I want to highlight one student's reaction to the work that you and the other 11th and 12th graders did to organize the Conquer Conference, since we've all talked about it a little bit. I asked Emma H. from Mesa Verde Middle School, and she wrote me an email back to answer my questions. What was your favorite thing, Emma? And she told me when we split up into our smaller groups and worked on self-care, especially the game where we wrote things down that stressed us out on balloons. Then one person was given the balloon one at a time, and it was difficult to juggle all of the balloons in the air, but slowly as others would come to help him keep the balloons in the air, it was fun. And I learned that we all have lots of things to juggle, but it's going to be a lot easier to manage if we help each other out. I cannot wait to play this everywhere. I think this is fantastic. Board retreat, come on. I love it. I also asked her, did she have any big takeaways? She said, we need to make time for the things we like to do. She learned techniques to take some of the stress out of schoolwork, or at least to make it easier to handle. And learned, for the first time, I should mention, how the school counselors are there to help. I think that is really interesting. She didn't know quite how they were there for students, but that they were there to help anybody struggling with mental health issues. So I think that's a great thing to realize, that maybe not all our students understand what they're there for. They're not just there to help you switch your class when you don't like that elective or this math or whatever. And I asked her, what are the next steps? What did you take back to Mesa Verde? She said that the whole group of students at Mesa Verde is planning to meet and discuss how they can apply the things they learned, and that they want to plan some lunch activities. Is the first thing they came up with. Guess what they want to play? Balloons! But also the activity where they stepped forward if a statement applied to them. She felt that that would really help students to learn about self-care and connecting with each other. So I suspect that Emma's reflection here, I think it was very impressive coming from a young middle schooler, but her reflection on the conference, I suspect, is representative of a lot of that serious group of middle school learners. They were there to have fun, but they also learned and took a lot back. So to our organizing high school students, and you're the only one here tonight in person, you clearly made an impact that is going to stretch beyond just that one day. So congratulations. I'm really proud of the organizing students and the ones who took so much away and took it so seriously. And I've got VAPA on my mind too. I've been to several student performances over the past month, including the Mesa Verde Middle School choir singing songs of the 50s. It was fabulous. Freaky Friday, the musical, performed at Rancho Bernardo High School. The best I have seen over there in years, and I know it's been years since anyone performed, so don't hold that against me. It was great, though. The Poway Band and Orchestra Festival yesterday morning, I got to hear concert bands, not the orchestras. So I heard Poway, Del Norte, and Westview, and Oak Valley Middle School's 8th grade orchestra. I can't believe how good they are. It's really shocking, actually. The festival concludes tonight in about 20 minutes, so probably too late. Oh, well. Let's see. The other thing that's going on tonight, Mamma Mia, over at Westview. But lucky you, there are 3 more shows, so you can get out there tomorrow night at 7 p.m. or Saturday at 2 o'clock or 7 p.m. I saw the show last week, and they really, really have gone all out for this 20th anniversary of their program over there. Our community has been really, really supportive of our VAPA programs, and I just want to recognize the drama and music boosters who have been working overtime, especially at this time of year. Please know that your efforts are seen and appreciated by me, but even by your kids, even though they probably don't tell you often enough. Your dollars, your time, your talents, just the care you put in, really. Please know that even if your kids forget to tell you, I see you, I know what you're doing, and I know we couldn't do it without you. I also wanted to mention I haven't met our brand new VAPA specialist, Kayla Warren. She's been on the job for a week, maybe? Yeah. So I hope she's gotten to a few of these performances, and she's got some time to get a few more before the year's out. Mount Carmel's is coming up in just a few weeks, just to get an idea of this high level that our Poway Unified student performers act and play and everything they do. Wow. And finally, last thing, one of the most important, impactful decisions I've made in my 7.5 years on this board is hiring Dr. Phelps 5 years ago. With her at the helm, Team PUSD has made so many positive changes, undertaken so many important challenging initiatives, and I'll say probably never worked harder. I didn't want to let this anniversary pass without letting her know that I remembered, thanking her for her leadership and making sure she knows how much I personally appreciate her. And that's it for me.
I feel like that deserves a round of applause for Dr. Phelps. Dr. Patel.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Since we last met, I don't think I had more than a handful of days where I was not working on behalf of the district, public education, or students in our community. And I certainly won't share everything, I promise, but just highlight a few in my report tonight. CSBA Legislative Action Day turned into Legislative Action Week thanks to Zoom. And I was able to meet with Assembly Members Ward, Weber, Mainshine, Borner Horvath, Vopel, and with Senator Atkins. It was a lot, and it was very intense, and our agenda covered advocacy on increasing the base for the local control funding formula, school employer pension relief, for that to be ongoing and not out of Prop 98, COVID ADA relief, which Ms. Zhu focused on a little bit tonight, home-to-school transportation and how that would impact our communities, as well as 2 CSBA-sponsored legislation items, which are AB 2584 by Berman and SB 1061 by Laird. And both of those look at recall election reform for school boards. Many people don't realize that if there's a recall in a school district, the school district has to pay for that recall election out of their general budget. And when the threshold to enact a recall is so low, that creates a lot of challenges for a district to pull money out of their general fund. So these 2 bills would look at bundling it into the next nearest election so that there aren't increased fees for that. In the district, I joined many board members and staff on a delightful tour of surprising our teachers and classified employees of the year. This was a great opportunity to highlight and celebrate these outstanding educators in their own work environments with their peers, and in one case, even in the classroom in front of their students. Also, as my other board colleagues mentioned, many thanks to our staff and business sponsors for putting on a really, truly lovely in-person celebratory event for our Teachers of the Year, Classified Employees of the Year, as well as celebrating and recognizing the supports of PTAs and foundations and administrators in our district. I either participated in or attended a few events in our district. I was honored to be an invited panelist on the Girl Intelligent Women's panel hosted by student leaders at Westview High School, where we shared challenges and successes in our professional and personal lives as we went through our lives as women in our careers. I joined my board colleagues at the SSAC Conquer conference, which was really wonderful. It was fascinating to see the student-led conference impacting their peers and their junior peers, as it dealt with mental health, wellness, and strength. So Ms. Yu spoke a lot about that, and I will kind of skip over that to save time and respect everybody's time. But the nice thing is that these middle school kids could bring back some of that learning to their own campuses, and we're hoping that they'll spread that knowledge to their peers. I was the co-host and moderator for a countywide de-escalation training through my role as president of the San Diego County School Boards Association. This training was offered to governance teams throughout San Diego County. And we had presentations from our San Diego City Attorney's Office as well as the National Conflict Resolution Center to offer additional strategies to governance teams for managing difficult meetings. I was delighted to attend day 1 of the Poway Music Festival. I was able to attend those for Mesa Verde's 7th and 6th grade band, as well as Meadowbrook's band, concert band. This is an opportunity for our bands and orchestras to participate in an adjudicated public performance. So for those of you who don't know, it's not just to showcase talent, but it's also an opportunity to have judges come in and provide rank and feedback on their performances. I was impressed really with the high quality of their performances, especially considering the challenges of learning and playing instruments in a virtual setting all last year. These kids have made amazing strides, and it's almost like they didn't skip a beat. I also managed to get in one school site visit this past month. As COVID cases continue to stay manageable, I'm looking forward to many more school visits and getting to know some of our newer site leaders throughout the district. There's certainly a lot to look forward to as we head into the final terms of our school year. And with that, I conclude my report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patel. The Conquer Conference was inspirational. Thank you, Ms. Xu. The de-escalation webinar was informational.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Patel. The recognition dinner was motivational. Thank you, Dr. Phelps and everyone else. Congratulations to everyone who was recognized that evening. April 1st was comical. I'm bummed that I've missed all things musical so far this week. And I just want to wish everyone a restful spring break and a blessed Passover and Easter. Dr. Phelps.
Thank you, President Zane. And thank you, Ms. O'Connor-Radcliffe, for your very kind words. And wow, 5 years went by fast. Earlier in the meeting, we celebrated our nurses, and the board was also approved Classified School Employee Week, National Teacher Appreciation Week, School Bus Drivers Day, and School Lunch Hero Day. Please take some time to show gratitude and appreciation to our hardworking members of Team PUSD, not just during certain days of the week, but every day. As I mentioned in my remarks at the PUSD recognition dinner earlier this week, many of our outstanding employees are not used to being recognized for those small moments, those everyday victories, those one-on-one interactions that occur as a daily part of our jobs. But I believe each of these moments is the essence of what makes Team PUSD so special and creates the culture and conditions for our world-class learners to shine and grow. As the superintendent, recognizing and celebrating this incredible work, no matter how large or small, is extremely important to me. That is why it was such an incredible opportunity to finally bring back the recognition dinner after a 2-year break due to the pandemic. I love seeing our students highlighted, including the Oak Valley Jazz Band, who was amazing. I can't believe those were middle school students. Our NJROTC color guard from Westview, Miss Torres, the choir singer from Del Norte, the 701 video interns interviewing our sponsors, and our own student board member, Winnie Zhu, for receiving a standing ovation for her keynote address. I couldn't be more proud of our students and our schools. We have many recognitions of note to present to the board this evening. Please look at your board packet for the full description in 12.2, but I encourage you to read them. But in the interest of time, I'd like to highlight just a few. San Diego County Spelling Bee champion, Mahir Konkapaka, a sixth grader from Connect Academy, was among 60 middle school students from across the country to compete. He will now move on to compete in the Scripps National Spelling Bee this summer. Design 39 campus and Del Norte High School took home the national titles in the middle school and open divisions respectively at the National Cyber Patriot Championship competition held last month in Baltimore, Maryland. Board Vice President Darshana Patel was named as the City of San Diego 2022 Women of Distinction for District 5. Congratulations. The award recognizes the contributions of 10 local women who have made significant impacts on their communities. For this month's Excellence in Education series video, our student interns focused on the unique partnership between Poway On Stage and PUSD to bring a week-long free theater camp to our students. Please enjoy.
Poway students took a one-week adventure into Wonderland.
I've had quite enough of your foolish imaginings.
As part of the Poway On Stage one-week theater camp, Poway Unified School District students were invited to audition for the production of Alice in Wonderland, with only 5 days, 5 rehearsals, leading up to 2 shows.
With a regular 2 to 3 month show, there's so much time that you have to do pretty much everything in the show over and over and over again to really get it down and hard. For this one, you really have to work really hard to make sure that you know everything and that everything is good because you don't have that much time to perfect it.
The week starts with group auditions where 120 students try out for 60 roles. Those who are cast come every day after school to work with professional mentors from the Missoula Children's Theater. This is the 27th year of the Arts and Education Partnership following a 2-year hiatus during COVID.
So this partnership and this project allows our students to pursue their passions, see if this is something they want to do later in life.
I think the partnership is amazing, and I hope it never goes away. I hope it lasts forever. There's so much benefits to this program. We look forward to it every year, and what they're doing is just absolutely amazing. I support it 100%.
The production does more than just provide the students with a fun experience, it also teaches them how to succeed both on and off the stage.
The performing arts have many benefits for students, from building confidence and public speaking abilities to building friendships and bonds. Sharing a common experience through the arts tends to draw people together. So we get to start to see students stepping up and really becoming leaders and friends.
Students that go through this program recognize the rewards of participating in this challenge.
When you get your role and just hear them go up there and everybody cheer for you.
I always feel comfortable because there's so many people here that know what they're doing and they know how to guide me.
Thanks to this partnership, arts programs will continue to benefit students beyond the final curtain call.
I see the impact that it makes on students. When you see them light up when they're on stage, or when they hear a song, or they're watching a concert, and you really start to see them make connections to other parts of their life or their culture, or understanding other people's cultures. And so that's really why I love what I do.
For the Excellence in Education series, I'm Katie Leung, Studio 701.
Just like that right there. Dance!
Our Studio 7-1 interns, under the direction of Miss Christine Pegg, they're just so amazing. And every time I visit our schools or go to an event, I'm so surprised that how amazing our students are in this district. It blows my mind every time. And a lot of times, when you hear them speak or when you hear them act or do something, you can't believe that they're just children, right? So they're amazing, so talented. And so lastly, I just want to say, I hope that everyone has a great spring break. Tomorrow's the last day before we go on spring break. I hope that you all have much deserved rest and time to spend with your friends and family. Thank you again. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Dr. Phelps. The Studio 701, thanks. I have to, full disclosure, have to be my favorite 2 minutes of the entire board meeting. They're just the best videos ever. It's not your board report. Thank you, everyone. The next regularly scheduled board meeting will be held on Thursday, May 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Poway Unified School District office here at 15250 Avenue of Science. We are adjourned at 7:53.